Hey, this is DW. I just wanted to come on and discuss a little bit about the tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk yesterday. It's been an emotional night for me, and I wanted to come on and discuss this a little bit because he had an enormous impact on our student bodies across the country. Because he would come to campus and he would set up a microphone and he would engage in dialogue with people, and that's the gold standard for higher education. I wanted to encourage those young people who were impacted by him and encouraged by him to stand with him on his principles of open dialogue. And let me play this one clip that you're going to hear a lot. And that is this is the person that just lost their life.
Talking, really bad stuff starts. When marriages stop talking, divorce happens. When civilization stop talking, civil war ensues. When you stop having a human connection with someone you disagree with, it becomes a lot easier to want to commit violence against that group. What we as a culture have to get back to is being able to have reasonable disagreement where violence is not an option. And people
So this is, like I said, the gold standard for higher education. And so I want students to continue to stand on those principles, to engage each other, to make connections. He says that human connection is the thing that draws us together so that we can search out the answers to life's biggest questions. We can discuss questions on origin. Who am I? Where did I come from? Meaning, is there such thing as a moral law? If so, how could I know it? And what can I do about it? And how can I be a positive moral agent in this world? Um, is there meaning to life? If I'm built for a purpose, what's my ultimate destiny? That's the fourth one. What will happen to me when I die? What will happen to the world when it's all over? These are the large categories of questions that we address on the college campus, in our clubs and in our classes. And so that's why I also want to encourage faculty to continue to hold up the standard of rational discourse and dialogue, especially with people we disagree with. We need to be the models, like Charlie Kirk was, of rational discourse. One of the quotes you probably aren't going to hear, but you may see it if you watch enough of his clips, and that is when someone who comes up to challenge him, to prove him wrong, that they really disagree with him, and they start to state their case at the microphone, and it becomes obvious that this student, this person, is not in his tribe, right, of political conservatives or religious people. And the crowd turns against the person on the mic and says, boo, boo, you're a lib, whatever, and starts calling them names. What does Charlie do? He says, no, 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 no. Let them speak. That's what we need more of, and that's what we lost. So, yes, he's gone to be with his maker, but we need to carry that torch of saying, no, 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 let them speak, and let's engage in rational discourse. And for those students, and especially for those professors who may see this as a positive thing and react with glee over the death of a person, check your heart. If this is how you react to someone you disagree with, that you rejoice in their death, you need to evaluate whether you belong in higher education, because that's not rational discourse. I know you may disagree with him. Maybe you hate him, his message, and you hate Trump, but don't let hate consume your heart. And don't let hate rub off on your students. You need to maintain the ability to have rational discourse with people you disagree with. And you shouldn't hate them. You should maintain that human connection. So that's a direct appeal to my liberal colleagues on college campuses across the country, that if you can't have a rational discourse with someone you hate, and you shouldn't hate them anyway, but let's say you do, then you need to evaluate whether you belong in higher education, because you're modeling that for students, and you're a terrible role model if you come across and cheer the death of somebody just because you disagree with them. Those two girls of his will no longer have their dad, and Erica is now a widow. That's not right. And so we need to maintain that human connection. Another thing I would like to encourage is the youth that this has rocked your world. And I know, here's an example of a student on X that says, I'm not going to lie, with everything going on, I'm feeling the pull to go to church and give my life to Jesus. And I say, yes, absolutely. I am no doubt a Christian. I am not ashamed of that, because following Jesus will give you hope, even in this crazy time of despair. We don't need to despair. Now, Jesus made several bold claims, but let me highlight one claim. He said to his disciples in chapter 14 of the Gospel of John, he said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And we talk about truth all the time on campus. Most of the time it's empirical truth. We want to, in chemistry, we want to get into the lab and we want to test things. We want to see if the statement corresponds with reality. That's the definition of something that's true. If Jesus is claiming to be the truth, then truth is a person. And what a comfort that is. It's not a set of principles that you have to memorize. It is a person you can follow. Yes, Jesus is going to have claims on things, and you need to take his claims seriously. But he's the person you need to follow. And if he's telling the truth, that he is actually the truth, then chasing the truth, whether you're not so sure about Jesus or Christianity, that's fine. Start with the truth. And so start pulling that thread and following the truth wherever it leads, even if it leads to uncomfortable places. And if Jesus was right, it will lead you to him. And he will carry you into eternity like he did Charlie Kirk. So truth is a person that we can follow. I think it's important to resist the urge to get angry and lash out. This is James Lindsay. I follow him on X because I've read a lot of his books. He's dug into the postmodern writings, and he's done a lot of the homework that I just have not had time to do in terms of being a chemist and not being a philosopher or someone in the humanities. And so I've really respected his level of research. And he's really struggling with the crossroads that we are at as a country. We can turn this into political violence and destroy things, and this can just be a downward spiral of destruction and tribalism, and you killed one of mine and I'll kill 10 of yours, and then you kill 10 of mine and I'll kill 100 of yours, and that just leads to death and destruction and bloodshed. And that's the animalistic way. Don't be an animal. Rise above your animal instincts and build. We need to take this situation and build a new society, or revisit the society that we've been given. One based on rational discourse. One based on thoughtful disagreement. In 1 Peter 3:15, he's writing to people, the Christians in the Roman Empire who are being persecuted, poorly treated. And he said, first set apart Christ as Lord in your heart, and always be ready to give an account. That phrase, give an account, is the Greek word apologia. It's where the word apologetics comes from. And he said, always be ready to give an account or a defense for the hope that you have. And that's what we're called to do. And then he says, but do this with gentleness and respect. That's our path forward. That's the way to build on this. Not to start destroying the other side, to take up arms, or to support violence, or to cheer on the death of somebody. We need to turn this around, and we need to start discussing to each other why we have the hope that we have, and to do it with gentleness and respect. So that's why in 2011 and 2012, I and 4 students here on our campus started our local Ratio Christi chapter. It's part of a national organization. So this is Ratio Christi, the national organization. And what we do is we seek to transform campus for Christ. We are Christians. We are witnessing on campus. We're doing exactly what Charlie Kirk did politically, going around campuses and discussing these things, but we are sharing our faith and discussing those 4 major topics, origin, meaning, morality, destiny with students. We're talking about the reliability of the scriptures next week on Monday night. How can you trust this ancient book that was written by, dozens of authors over 1,500 years? What does it have to say for your life, and can it be trusted? Let's discuss that. That's Monday night at 5:30 in LSC 144. What we're doing is cultivating thoughtful Christianity on campus. A Christianity for the past many, many decades has turned into an emotional-only religion. People are Christians because it works for them, not because they have any rational connection to its being true or not true. That may feel good for a moment, but if Christianity works for you while you're in a certain emotional state, it may not work for you when you're not in that same emotional state. If you're a Christian for emotional reasons, I praise God that you've come to Christ, but there are so many other rational, factual reasons to become a Christian, and that's what we discuss at our club, and that's what we discuss at Ratio Christi Clubs on all these college campuses. So we're ready and poised to take on the torch that Charlie Kirk has dropped because he was shot. And there's TPUSA chapters too. I'm sure they're going to carry on his torch as well. But if you're focused or you're interested or even curious about discussing the scriptures, the truth claims of Christianity, then find a Ratio Christi chapter on your campus or one nearby. If you're here at Sam Houston State, join us Monday nights at 5:30 in LSC 144. And also you can see us on Tuesdays from 11 to 1 on the Bearcat Plaza. And so come by our table. Vote in our poll. We always have a question on there that's thought-provoking. Come by and discuss it with us. We want to engage you. We want to discuss things with you. We want to move you to our side and have you become a Christian because we think that you can have life eternal with God, joy in heaven. And you can also on this side of heaven, you can have a Christian family that loves you and cares for you and takes care of you when you need it most. So if that's something that seems interesting to you, curious to you, see us Tuesday at 11 o'clock on Bearcat Plaza. Come Monday night at 5:30 to LSC 144 and join us. Here's our local chapter page. And you can see here's our fall topics. We're going to be talking about all of these different things. We've already talked the first two meetings about what creation can tell us about God. Next Monday, we're going to talk about how can such an old book be reliable. We're going to look at a defense of the scriptures. We're going to discuss why society is fascinated by superhero movies. Maybe a need or a desire for a hero has been built into our hearts that's pointing to Jesus. And maybe there is a superhero, and maybe he has come and he has rescued us from our sin and death. We're going to discuss the evidence that supports Jesus' resurrection, and we're going to take seriously the challenges to those to see if alternate theories actually hold up to the facts surrounding his death and resurrection. And then I'm going to discuss, this is a meeting that I'm doing, what can we learn from near-death experiences? People that have died and been resuscitated, many times they have fantastic stories about heaven and so on. But in this case, we're interested, this is Gary Habermas's work, we're interested in the things that they experienced that can be verified. So it's just that. It's just looking at things that they saw or experienced while they were dead in this world and see if we can verify that. There's no way they could have any experiences in this world, any verifiable experiences in this world if they're dead and if they have no soul. If it's just a material world, and when you're dead, and the spark goes out, and somehow the doctors get that spark going, and your machine is working again. It's like your lawnmower dies, and you pull the string, and it starts back up, but the lawnmower didn't experience anything while it was off, and it didn't mow any grass while it was off. It's just a material object. But what if we're not just material objects? And so that's what we're talking about there. So lots of interesting topics. We always have your questions. We always play lots of games. And so it's a really fun meeting, and I really encourage you to come, especially if you're one who is really like struck by this moment in our society. We really want you to reach out and talk with us. You can follow us on Instagram. Let me go there too. Um, see if there's any other topics that I missed. Here's our post on the topics for the week. We talked about these. We're going to have lots of game nights. This game here, if you are a Christian and you grew up with the Bible, this game is absolutely hilarious. It's kind of like Cards Against Humanity, but it's biblical. It's not as bad as that game. It's also kind of like Apples to Apples, but it's using Bible verses. So we have a lot of fun at our game nights, and sometimes we break out the games after our topic of discussion. Here's the Do We Need a Hero topic. This is going to be on September 29th. We're going to discuss what God has revealed about himself in the scriptures and where this doctrine of the Trinity comes from. So that'll be curious for Christians especially, and for non-Christians who have no idea what Christians mean by saying God is three in one. And so that's a curiosity, I'm sure, that a lot of people will want to attend. That's October 6th. I'll be talking about the near-death experiences that I just mentioned on October 13th. And then we're going to have a Stump the Christian or Ask Me Anything event on October 20th. We're trying to find some professors that will join us with that. And so we're going to have a couple of students, a couple of professors sitting up and having a panel where you can ask us any question about Christianity, and we will do our best to answer them. If we can't answer them, we have tons of resources that we can find, a thoughtful response to your question. We're not afraid of questions. Truly, if what we believe is true and we think we have a path to the truth, why would we be afraid of questions? Maybe you ask us something we don't know, but that's fine. We can look together. I mean, this is what rational dialogue is about. So this is what we welcome. So come see us at our table. Here's a picture of our tent and our table. We always have this little question here that is, again, to get conversation started. So come by. It's a yes, no, or I don't know. You don't have to engage. You can just vote. And we always like to see how many people on our campus vote a certain way or this way or that. And then a lot of times we'll ask you, why did you feel that way? Why didn't you feel a different way? And we'll listen to you. That's important. And then we'll end out with some outdoor game night after it cools down in late October. And then we'll have a meeting on the historical support for Jesus' resurrection and do the alternative theories make any sense. And then we'll finish up the semester with a s'mores and hot dog roast at my house. So I hope that that this tragedy hasn't pushed you over the edge of being so angry you would want to do something that you shouldn't do, or that you would say something you would later regret. I can't really think that my colleagues on the left really do, if they think about it, really do want me dead, or want Charlie dead, or want somebody that they disagree with dead. Now maybe there is a demonic influence there. Maybe they are lost, but I'm not going to go down there. I'm not going to assume that they're not reachable. I'm going to continue to reach out. I'm going to continue to dialogue. I'm going to continue to discuss these things, and I'm going to discuss them more. That's why I'm making this video right now. This is not going to stop me. It's not going to stop Charlie's friends and his chapter, TPUSA chapters. This is certainly not going to stop Ratio Christi chapters, and I think that this is going to have a positive impact in the long run of 20-somethings, the people that Charlie Kirk really reached in droves. It's going to drive them to discuss things more and to want to find hope in a world that seems chaotic and lost. Hope you have a good day, and we'll talk again. I'm starting a new YouTube channel called In My Lane, where I can talk about these things. It's going to be talking about those things that are in my lane, like science. I'm a chemistry professor. religion. I've been a Christian my whole life. I've studied the Bible. Apologetics, like with Ratio Christi. There may be other lanes that I get into, like parenting, a dad of two, marriage, 31 years married at this point. So there's lots of things that I would consider my lane that I won't mind getting into. And so that's just going to be my channel. It's called In My Lane. And so look for posts related to that. And of course you can join in. Thank you and have a great day.